Thanks so much for tuning in to the Trade Setup. I'm Neeraj Shah. Let's take stock of the news flow. Again, not a very news-heavy day, but some interesting tidbits here and there. First, global news flow. U.S. futures have stabilized as traders weigh the Fed outlook. Remember, we'll get to know about the comments only on Friday. So therefore impacts our markets on Monday maybe. US business activity contracted for a second straight month in August, actually across the board. In Australia, the housing prices have come off and economy is coming off. US, this is happening. Europe, it's obviously happening. Business activity across the world is really cooling off. In China as well. The worst drought in many, many years adds to the pressures in China. So the world seems to be a place which is slowly starting to look like being devoid of growth. Oil prices continue to rise post Saudi Arabia's comments of how OPEC Plus may even cut production. Remember, this came in yesterday, and since the last 2 days, oil prices have really gone up. So all of that doesn't quite augur well, but for the fact that the markets did okay. I mean, yesterday, Indian markets too, as much as the belief was, even I thought that they will stay low. But that's what markets do, right? I mean, it doesn't care really for what opinion is. It does what it does. Was flattish though, marginally lower, but nothing too dramatic. In fact, the futures are trading mildly in the green. So it's an interesting day of trade up ahead for us. The dollar index continues to stay above that 108 mark. The US 10-year yield 3.04. Other risk assets fairly flattish. The SGX Nifty indicative of risk assets in emerging markets, which is India. Well, about 53 odd points. No great shakes. Yesterday went up about the same quantum. Today it's down about the same quantum. So yesterday, I thought RIL and banking became the key pivots or the key protagonists around which the markets found the key support level and bounced back. So yesterday, that's it. That 400 to 500 band for 17,400 to 17,500 band. What I mean to say is from where we bounced back. But I do think that the rising crude and rising dollar index cap any upside possibilities ahead of the Jackson Hole Symposium on Friday. So until then, maybe not too much. Yes, there is the expiry, but I doubt it can really have a meaningful impact per se on a trending move for the markets. Reliance Group stocks advanced yesterday, all of them, not too many out there, but all of them. But dealers, when I spoke to them, said that some of the smaller names might still have some legs to go. Let's see if the big boy Reliance has some legs to go or not. Flows, foreign investors bought about 563 crores. DI sold about 215 crores. So that's the long and short of it. No great shakes out there. Among stocks to watch, this was the big talking point, standard disclosure. Everything that's happening around here, around the Adani group, please keep in mind, Adani Enterprises, 14% shareholder in Quintillion Business Media, which is the owner of BQ Prime. So please keep that at the back of your mind. I mean, all I'm trying to say is that the ownership should be known to all viewers when we're talking about anything related to the Adani Group, part ownership, if you will. So NDTV, Adani Media Networks, launches open offer at about 294 rupees, at 294 rupees per share. The current price is 366. The stock has run up quite considerably ahead of this announcement, and therefore could be very, very interesting. I'll watch out for some of the other media stocks as well at the open offer price. The market cap of NDTV is 1902 crores based on the trailing 12 months earnings, or the last year earnings, actually not trailing 12 months. Excuse me for that, that's my mistake. But you could argue its TTMPs are arguably almost the same. NDTV is at about 22.42 times. As per my math, TV18 at 7.81, Aaj at 8.76. Yes, the valuation of NDTV need not be the right valuation. Maybe the valuation for TV18 and Aaj is the right valuation. But could there be some bit of a flare up onto those stocks as a result of this? I think that's something that people should be mindful of. So keep that in mind, that if TV18, if Aaj, if some of the other media properties react, maybe somebody's looking at the valuation differential out there. Let's wait and watch. I would presume that some competition coming should actually not be viewed positively, but who knows? Any case, competitive pressures are far from there. The others are leaders in that space. NDTV, general news, yes, but otherwise, it's not exactly the one which is table thumping leader in any fashion. Chennai Petroleum has approved a JV with Indian Oil and other seed equity investors, a bunch of financial investors out there, life insurance and banks. They are implementing 9 MMTPA refinery project at Kaveri Basin Refinery. The project cost is 31,580 crores. Chennai Petro has approved an investment of 2570 crores in the joint venture as company's contribution of 25%. So clearly they've gotten this at a discount, arguably so because of the expertise that they have. Interesting to see what happens to Chennai Petro as a result of this today. Some stocks in focus. Hindalco Industries, yesterday in the AGM, Kumar Mangalam Birla said that they plan $8 billion worth of capex over the next 5 years, including Novelis. So reiterating the capex plans from Hindalco's perspective was Kumar Mangalam Birla. eMudra, 3% of its shares get unlocked today. Could there be pressure here? Maybe, maybe not. But if there is pressure, you know why it should be the case. And NMDC, which had a big spike up yesterday because the news came in yesterday, by the way. But keep in mind that the news is that the Nagarnar steel plant demerger will likely get approval tomorrow from the MCA. So maybe, just maybe, yesterday's move might get continued today because this would be a big event or a reasonably sized event for NMDC. So do watch out for that one as well. Some price and volume action seen in stocks like Kalyan Jewellers, which went up 10%. The stock price was up 10%. Volumes were 11.2 times the averages. Excuses for not having the table here, but yeah, that's the point that we're trying to make. 10% up, 11.2 times the jump in volumes. Sport King 15.3% up, 5.4 times the 10-day average volumes, and Triveni 7.6% higher, 4.7 times the 10-day average volume. So that's the price and volume action that we're talking about. Some stocks at new high include Deepak Fertilizer, Forbes and Company, Indore Mines, and Gensol, all of which had flared up in trade yesterday as well. So pretty interesting moves there. There is a board meet for the demerger for BEML today. So BEML today, NMDC has some action tomorrow. So do watch out for some of these PSUs. They could be inactive. CLS has given an upgrade on Reliance. So maybe that's probably one reason why RI was anyways active. The target is 3180 for whatever it's worth. And in other news, by the way, TCS has said that staff will get 100% June quarter variable pay, apparently. So this should augur well for TCS. By the way, keep in mind, viewers, yesterday we did a conversation. Since IT is in focus, I'll just take a minute out here. Since IT is in focus, that yesterday we did a conversation with 2 IT analysts who believed that this should actually augur positively because this will shore up margins. And companies are able to, if they're talking about holding back variable pay for a quarter or otherwise, they're able to say that because maybe the attrition pressures are going down a bit or have gone down a bit compared to what was the case earlier, and that should actually be viewed positively. So maybe from a company's perspective, it could be positive news. I'm not saying that is what ideally should be done. Employees should be given their fair share any which ways. But I think the other analyst from Edelweiss was saying that it's happened multiple times that variable pays are given part sometime and part later, depending on the cash flow situation that the company has. And therefore, this should not be, there's a lot more noise than what it ideally should deserve, according to that person. So interesting thoughts out there. Multiple people have different streams of opinion. It'll be interesting to talk to Rahul Chadda of Mirae today. We will ask him about what their view is on this, but it follows in the line of conversation that we have this week, which is it time to check in or check out? That's the key talking point. That's the key conversation on talking point all this week. And for today, we'll have Rahul Chadda of Mirae Asset Global Investments joining us from Hong Kong. There's also a conversation with Dream Folk Services, and it'll be interesting to hear out what the management has to say about the IPO. And at 4 p.m., your weekly appointment on mutual funds with us. Today, Loa Navlakhi and Kshitij Mahajan join in to talk about some key aspects, including whether you should look at past performance or should you completely ignore past performance by choosing mutual funds or no. The debate around that, why or why not, will happen today on the MF show. So it'll be interesting to hear that as well. Net, quiet as she goes, steady as she goes until Jackson Hole outcome is out of the way, I presume. Yes, tomorrow is the monthly expiry, and therefore maybe stock-specific activity could be expected in the next 2 sessions. We'll try and do a derivative piece tomorrow on Trade Setup to try and just tell you how the positions are. And of course, Twitter Spaces on the new series lined up tomorrow. So we'll tell you about that tomorrow as well. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Have a safe day ahead and have a good one.